Today we're going to cover the $1 million meal plan and what does that look like. Well, if you're a combat coach, you're going to want to listen to this because you're going to get a lot of insight, because the reality is this: we don't have access to the kind of capital when you're first starting out in the combat game. But as you move up, you do have to acquire the necessary knowledge that will totally benefit you greatly as you move your athlete up the ladder, especially when they get to the top 10. You want to make sure that you understand these things about weight gain, management, and all of the things that will be a detriment to you. Now, when you're first starting out, you don't have access to the kind of capital to pay for a nutritionist, because if you get a good nutritionist, they've been educated, so you have to pay them their dues. But what you do have access to is information, and that's what I'm going to give you today, letting you see what it looks like when you're working with world-class nutritionists, and how does $1 million meal plan look. Now, when it's all said and done, before I get started, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Coach Eric A. Bradley, and for the past 18 years, I've been a licensed nutrition specialist. And without that, before I got into that, what I was in was sports performance, medical, and all of the things that go along with making sure you stay along live and healthy. So this is what I learned from the field, is knowing what you're putting in your body and knowing how you do it. So I've created a list, and with all of the information that I've given many people over the past 2 decades in the world of nutrition, I put together a list of things that are most important when it comes to what you're putting into your body. So we're going to start off with number 1 is, and this is going to be very, very informative to you. Number 1 is consumption. And when you're focusing on what you're putting in your body, here's the deal. Knowing how to eat is one thing. Knowing how much to put into your body is an entirely different thing. There are athletes that I had up under my banner that assisted to eat what they wanted because they didn't understand nutrition. But when they realized, after I take them through my little course, and I just created a conversation every single day on nutrition, they were all responsible to write down what they ate, take a picture of it, and put it in our Facebook group. And this was many years ago. And at the exact same time, when they started to see what everybody was eating, they realized they were eating bad. So consumption is a thing. Now, macronutrients are necessary. You must understand what you're putting in your body, but the mass amount of it is key. Rule here is, everything I give you, it's going to give you clarity as to how much you should be putting into your body. And if you don't know how much you should be, just remember this. This is a lens. 2/3 should be filled, 1/3 should be empty at all times. Never consume more than 2/3. That's being greedy. The next, number 2, is timing. Now, the timing, you must understand a couple of things about when you consume food. Hence is why a lot of people, they're curious to why they gain weight. Why is it that I'm eating less but I'm not losing any weight? Well, it's all about understanding the timing. There's a time that your body burns food, and there's a time that your body actually flushes, and there's a time when your body actually just allows itself to permeate, to take the food, and you're going through that time period where it is cleansing. A lot of people eat when it's time to cleanse, meaning the body's cleansing, not cleansing the food. It's digestion is when you want to eat. And that is typically when the sun is up at its highest peak, and when the sun is going down, you stop eating. So the timing in which you're eating is uber important. It's as important as what you're eating. Now, at the end, we're going to make clear, and you're going to get a takeaway that you had no idea. And I'm going to assume that a lot of you are people that like to take in information, because for me, It's about, I take my time and I say to you, I've been given an ability and I have certain things that I know that I don't want to take them to the grave. I want to make sure I leave them here with you. So it's up to you to do what you want to with it. But number 3 is the volume in which you're putting in, making sure that I'm not eating excessively throughout the day, because the volume of food that you put in definitely will tell you what's going down to be released or to burn. And if you don't understand that, what's going to happen is when you're trying to get to a place where you're making weight or you're getting a little older and you don't understand how much you should be eating, what is the consumption rate, all of those things come into play then. And in order to do that, you got to learn to manage. And I can't wait, because at the end, I'm going to give you a couple of things that you can use that will help you manage that. Because understanding your planning structure will help you. So make sure that you are going to start this process where you are getting a little more maniacal about what you put in your body and start caring a little bit more. Because I know there's those times, especially with the holidays being in the midst of them, that you're like, I can do this, I can do that. But a disciplined athlete never sleeps on the game. Now, how do you know how much consumption? Well, metabolic is number 4. The metabolic rate, which is the amount of fuel that your body is actually capable of burning based on your age, weight, and all of the levels of activity that you are opposed to doing or actually doing. If you're one of these athletes and you're working out consistently, your metabolic rate's going to what we call, there's your metabolic rate, resting metabolic rate, and then there's the metabolic rate when you're active, how much you're actually burning yourself. So you start to calculate all of those. Don't just calculate one without the other, because without this, with this whole system that we're doing, this series, we're giving you for 4 straight days, you're getting everything that you'll need to know to get you to a place in a headspace and an actual plan, something that's actionable and that you can really use. So it's important that you listen to this part. Now, number 4, it was metabolic. Number 5, it's EQ. And what does that mean? You know how you allow yourself to go out, have a good time, and do whatever you want to do? Well, the reality is there's a price tag to pay. If you get involved with emotional eating, you might had a bad day of practice and you came home and you just said, I don't care. That's a conduit of getting to a place where you're going to expect to eat in consumption, and that's not good. So what do? The first thing you do is you don't allow emotional eating, and that's your EQ. EQ, just like when you get in the ring and you're impulsive, you want to make sure that you do not allow that to happen. All right, so number 5 is making sure that you do not allow EQ to interrupt or interfere with your flow. Get your mindset in check, stay the course, and never allow yourself to be a lesser than. You have to have the mindset of a champion. Hence, if you don't, watch day 1 Mindset of a Champion video that I did specifically for you guys, and it rests on YouTube and it rests on Facebook, our Facebook page. If you have not seen Mindset of a Champion, watch it, take notes, and get ready for number 6. Impulse. Impulse is immediately, impulse can be the downfall to anything that you do. It's your first reaction. It's a defense mechanism. It's almost as bad as having a bad EQ. Emotional eating is as impactful, but when it comes down to impulses, impulses come like that. See, these are the things that generate and direct you to getting to the $1 Million Meal Plan. And once you see this, you're going to learn and understand why, because our job is to make sure it's clear to you. Impulse, meditate, have a process in when you deal with things that you are going through emotionally. Don't let something trigger, because where that comes from is things that trigger you. And once you learn your triggers, what that does is it allows you to have a defense mechanism, especially when you're an athlete. We have therapists, sports therapists always are there. And if you don't, have a friend, someone that you can confide in, or literally just read. No matter what it is you have going on, if you take time and read, consume something to pull you out of that space, do not allow impulse to take over, because what we're trying to do, this is weight management. If you're just tuning in, and knowing how to get to the $1 Million Meal Plan, and all of these things are relevant. Now we go to number 7. See, this is where the real stuff resides. Inflammation. Bam. Because 45% of your weight can just be inflammation. So if you understand how to minimize inflammation in your body, hence is why a lot of people, whenever they are in the sports field and they have to weigh in and they get on the scale and they're like, I haven't been eating stuff. And the answer to that is going to be at the bottom, which is number 9. But you still are gaining weight and you don't know why. You see, it's inflammation taking course. And if you don't understand how to get rid of inflammation, then there are things that you can do that start to really create that subsidiary effect. So it makes it subside and go away. So you got turmeric, which you have to mix with black pepper for it to stimulate it. It's its derivative. It allows it to go into your body and make moves instead of just go in there and go flatline. Next, ginger is also a good one. I do it with tea. I do it with this concoction that I make that has ginger, the fresh peel of a lemon. You meaning I shave the lemon outside, and then I add honey, and then I add ginger. So you got this concoction with turmeric, ginger, honey, lemon peel, and stirred it up. And I also use flaxseed, and it gives it this nice paste, and boom, every morning before I do anything, that lands on my stomach first. And now you're getting rid of inflammation inside the body. When you learn certain things, particular things, when it comes down to your eating, you will eliminate up to 10, 15, 25 pounds of inflammation is residing in your body. And I'm going to tell you exactly where a lot of inflammation comes from. You will be surprised at this. Number 8. What do no athletes do? Coaches, you must encourage your athlete to get an allergy test. Because the reason why inflammation arises is because 9 times out of 10, they're eating foods that they're allergic to. Because you don't know what you're allergic to until you get your allergy test. So it doesn't matter how much you don't consume, and it doesn't matter how many times you go for a run a day or work out, do burpees, mountain climbers, sit-ups, push-ups, jumping jacks. If there's inflammation in the body, what's going to happen is you're going to swell from the inside, so you won't be able to see it. Here's a sign. When you eat something, if you feel it back here, if you feel that swelling, if it feels like something's puffy just out of nowhere, that's inflammation. That means something you're putting into your body you're allergic to. One of my buddies got his allergy test. It was like, no wonder he was allergic to 10 of his favorite foods, cantaloupe being one, and he ate it all the time. And the minute he got on a nutrition plan that eliminated that inflammation, he lost 21 pounds in like 2 weeks because the weight wasn't his. It was just inflammation. It wasn't fat. This is where educating yourself, it matters most. And when I share this with you, you're never going to get anywhere until you learn to detox. This is a 3-day detox. It's real and simple. And it's cleansed foods, foods that will reduce inflammation. And if you understand inflammation, it is a serious monster. With inflammation comes all of the chronic diseases, arthritis. I don't even have to go further. It's everything. Tendinitis, anything that you can suffer from that can take you off of this planet starts with inflammation. Sugars start it. Anything you consume that you're allergic to starts it. It just stacks and stacks and stacks. And so therefore I understand this thing from an entirely different level. And breathing, your circadian rhythm, it's a real thing. So what I do to get my rhythms aligned as I'm about to approach my detox, before I get on my meal plan, that I know exactly what I should be consuming. I know my macros, I know my metabolic rate, and I understand how to stay away from things that inflame my body. I focus on the detox and I get myself to my breathing. And my breathing is 7 seconds in, 4-second pause, 8 seconds out. I repeat that 6 to 8 times. No matter what happens, after a few days, my sleep imbalance is out. My breathing, I'm breathing constantly, completely. In 7 seconds, pause, and out 8. It creates alignment inside of your mind and body. And believe it or not, knowing when to eat, sun up to sundown, knowing how to go and get the necessary tests. Make sure you get the right help for yourself. Having a process when you're going through anxiety and dealing with things that create impulse, just covering these things makes the $1 million meal plan. The meal plan that works because you've set yourself up for success. And this is what this entire series is about. Champions University is a place this all resides because of the experiences that I've had. I've seen people ruin their careers because they didn't understand why they were gaining weight and why they could not get rid of certain weight, but they were doing the same exercises because their body was dealing with inflammation internally. So imagine knowing your intestine and it's 30 feet long and all of that swells. These are the things that take consumption, nutrition, digestion seriously to an entirely different level. So you can't play the game at the level you were playing at now when you're working with athletes that are at the elitist levels, because you know when you go from a new level, when you go to that new level, new devil, and you got to get your education up. That's it. So this is the $1 million meal plan. Knowing these things and knowing how to optimize yourself, these are the components of optimal nutrition. It starts here, and it ends here. So make sure you understand your macros. Those things are all aligned in our books. But the key is knowing these things so that you can get yourself to that highest level. You don't have to retire early. You don't have to leave weight classes. These things, they all matter. So hopefully you guys got some value from this. Hopefully you took notes. Maybe you want to save this. Make sure that it stays on the page for 24 hours and then it's over in the School of Boxing group. So tomorrow, you guys, you get to tune in and watch how I took the experience of watching 200 champions come through a program, being third generation, learning so much from those mentors who showed me so many different things, being ordained and complimented by the late, great Emmanuel Stewart for our team having the mindset to run a company. What we're going to do is take you behind and show you a couple of our books that show you all of the things that will come with being at the top and showing you how to stay there if you're already there. And there are so many different levels to this thing, but I always tell you to encompass this. If you're already there, you have to remember never to get lazy. Don't get comfortable, because when you get to a new level, it's always a new devil waiting. So I'll see you tomorrow. I look forward to showing you everything that I know. I want you to bring a pad because you're not going to want to miss this. This will be epic. You will get to learn some things that you have never even thought about. I know, because I got to experience it myself. So until next time, I see you soon. Special shouts to my brothers in the School of Boxing and to the seniors, the guys who are in the professional coaching rankings in our Champions University portal. That's all I got. I see you guys soon. Thanks again, Coach Bradley, and I'm out. Peace.